Good day. Welcome to another episode of Masonic Curators. I'm Keith Mackinnon. Oh, there we go. And I'm joined here today with the Worship Master of Friendship Lodge number 7, Worshipful
Dennis McSweeney.
A little bit different episode today. I thought of this last night as I was basically falling asleep. Actually, no, yesterday afternoon. I thought about it and did some quick research to reassure that I was doing the research originally correct, and it was. And I thought it'd be kind of nice because everybody who's going to be watching these episodes, Worshipful, has lived basically through this piece of history, not just here in America, but the world. And that is, I hate to bring it up, but COVID.
Yeah.
And COVID has basically transformed our lives, in some cases, totally upside down and backwards and forwards. And what we've gone through, what we've seen, unfortunately, we've lost a lot of people. And on behalf of Masonic Curators, if anybody out there who's watching this may have lost somebody through COVID, our most sincere sympathies to you and your family. I've known a brother who passed away because of COVID as well. So we have those stories that touch our lives. But here in Freemasonry, I guess we really don't think of that, especially those who are not Masons. How did COVID affect us? And it really did affect many of us.
Sure did.
Can't talk for all of the lodges around the world or even here in the U.S., but I'm here in Rhode Island. I'm from Massachusetts. It affected both our Grand Lodges. You weren't master at the beginning. I wasn't master either. I was, what was I? I don't know what I was. One officer. But the second year going in, I did become master. And we had to change our entire world. Mm-hmm. What was it like here in Rhode Island?
Well, I remember it specifically because I was senior deacon and I was going in to do the middle chamber. And it was the week before our fellowcraft degree, and it was a Wednesday. We were here, formed the practice and everything like that. And the very next day, the state shut down everything. The courthouses, everything was shut down. And us being a Masonic Lodge, we have to follow the rules of Grand Lodge, and Grand Lodge follows the rules of the state of Rhode Island. And basically everything was shut out. So me being lucky not to have to perform the middle chamber, but unfortunately it shut everything down until the following year when things started to settle down a little bit. And then going in as junior warden, we were able to, well, at first we continued with doing Zoom meetings and all of that such. And that was different. And, Grand Lodge came up with some protocols as to how to have a meeting and all that. And it was different. It wasn't that brotherly love and camaraderie was lost, but to a certain extent.
And you probably lost maybe some members coming along.
Yes. Yeah, yep. And we as at Friendship Lodge, on every Wednesday, we practice on every single Wednesday. But even if we're not practicing it, we're at recess or whatever, throughout the year, we still meet here on Wednesdays just for, drinks and food and all that. Every Wednesday, you can probably count on at least 20 to 30 people to be here. And that all kind of came to an end as well, to a certain extent. And, but yeah, it was a challenging time. And as going into the junior warden station, when we were finally able to meet here, we had to wear masks and social distance, passing the word. We couldn't do it with connection and all that, so it was different.
I know in Massachusetts, yes, I was an officer. I believe I was senior warden at the time. Our Grand Lodge came up with protocol on what to wear and do this, do that. We had to maintain 6 feet behind other brethren, which really we had to rewrite, at least in Mount Olivet Lodge in Cambridge, rewrite how we did before,
Mm-hmm.
because the space 6 feet back.
Right.
No, we're not used to that,
Right.
especially in some lodges. I don't know about here, but our stewards walk side by side.
Mhm.
Can't do that.
Right.
They come out with, we have to wear masks. No, what type of mask? But we had to wear masks. For those who don't know, I know here in Massachusetts we do. I don't know about where I'm. Officers have to wear tuxedos.
Mhm.
This is the same here.
Same area. Yep.
We wear white gloves. We had to wear rubber gloves underneath the white gloves.
Yep.
We were also told if we touched anything with the rubber gloves, we had to stop, take off the rubber gloves, put on a new set of rubber gloves, wash our hand, and put on this. Imagine doing that.
Right. In a Masonic lodge.
And then now you had to come down and meet it. You just can't.
Right.
You can't.
Mhm.
You can't. Some of those things kind of wait, but that was the time we didn't know whether our COVID was airborne or through our fingertips.
Right.
Had no idea until later. It was discovered that it was airborne.
Mhm.
And then, like you, the state came in, but I'm from Cambridge, where I like putting, we are called the Republic with very little.
Mhm.
Not only did we have to go by state, our Grand Lodge city,
Mhm.
and our city shut everything down.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, our Masonic Temple had a shoot sign in the front and enter. The board of directors actually went a step further to remove all the keys from the closet to get into the various rooms. The only way you could get into the building, but you couldn't go any further.
Mhm.
We had to get permission ahead of time, and he would be left for you, or the building superintendent would be there to unlock to let you get into your lodge with the other closet if you needed something.
Mhm.
We did the Zoom meetings. It did help because we did have a few guys who lived out of state that was able to chime in, which was,
Right.
but like you said, we did lose some guys.
Yeah.
Things came back, not 100%. I became master. Boom. Next wave hit, we had to shut down.
Yep.
Dead. I presume your Grand Lodge probably didn't meet, and did they not one of these Zoom meetings?
Everyone was having meetings. Everything was done through Zoom.
We had the Zoom meetings, which was unusual because we had them both on the computer.
Yeah.
Which was very interesting. When I became master, unfortunately, we were given some candidates.
Mhm.
So how do you do 7 candidates with COVID with wearing masks, wearing
Right.
gloves, be 6 feet
Yep.
with each other? There was a lot of reworking for those degrees, and the guys, at least my lodge, Martin Olivet, came through. Spent a long time doing rehearsals and working. It's the first time, I believe, we actually had to use an exemplar, which was for those who are not Masons. One candidate goes to and takes the degrees while the others sit and watch. First time since we had done that since World War I.
Mhm.
So yeah, things for us were totally turned upside down.
Yeah. I mean, it basically shut down the entire lodge for at least a solid year. And then when we came back, obviously it was precautions and all of that. But yeah, it was a very trying time for sure.
So we lived through a historical period, even though many of us don't consider it as a historical period. But one of the lodges, while that period was going on, since I am a historian, they asked me, Keith, what was the lodges like back in 1918? And for those that may know history, 1918 we had one by a couple of names, one by flu pandemic, the Spanish flu pandemic, one by influenza pandemic. We're supposedly, if my numbers are correct, I think 500 million people were affected. A third of the world's population came down with this. And this is just some numbers to keep you in mind of what I'm going to bring at the very end. I don't know how many have been infected with COVID right now here in the world. I mean, it must be, I know it's millions of millions, if not 3-digit. 50 million died in Germany 1918 and worldwide, and 700,000 here in the United States, which the numbers I thought would be a little bit high. As of yesterday, we have here in the United States 1,111,000 poor that perished because of COVID. So I try to do the numbers that way there on the research, but I was more interested in how the lodges react, how the Grand Lodges react. And the funny thing is, we had 5 Masonic lodges in Cambridge at the time of the meeting in 1918, so I only did 2. And I read through 1918 right into 1919 on both lodges. Nothing. Weird, like the pandemic did not exist. Like, I mean, here, we talked about it. We wore masks, we wore gloves. We talked about in Lodge, I presume you did too, the Grand Lodge required COVID. We had to live through the buildings being closed. We had to probably talk about Dr. Fauci and the other CDC requirements in Lodge. We had it in the notices. But 1918, there's nothing mentioned. Like, it didn't happen. There was nothing from the Grand Lodges. There was nothing from the Masters about talks about the flu disease, the pandemic, and how to avoid it. We should be wearing. There was nothing. Matter of fact, candidates were still being brought into the law. It's like, as I read on one of the YouTube videos that someone posted about it, was the public resisted the pandemic.
Sounds pretty familiar, though. You know, a lot of public resistance.
Yeah, people resisted.
Right.
Restrictions. But one thing that I found very interesting, and maybe it took place here in Rhode Island too. I haven't made any connection yet in Massachusetts, but I have made some connections in some other parts of the United States. We all know the hospital system during COVID was overwhelmed. We know that from pictures. I mean, people dying in. I was there in Italy, in European countries, the dead just left. And we heard horror stories here in this country of beds, no rooms, no equipment.
Bodies put in tractor-trailer trucks.
Trailers, no help. And I wanted to go a little bit step further and say, how did we deal with that in 1918? We had the same thing. And the funny thing is, I found out it didn't happen here because all of our buildings were shut down because we're public meeting places. So we're under that umbrella of can't be there.
Right.
The Red Cross and various other health agencies actually approached various Grand Lodge institutes and some of the local Masonic board of directors. And they weren't really looking for help. They're looking for space. And it's fascinating that some of the Masonic lodges opened their doors to some of these groups to allow the sick to be placed in hospital beds in their banquet halls because we had rooms. It's funny to think that, we might be meeting upstairs while there's influenza patients down in our banquet hall. Well, I presume it was more those who came down with, the low and the sickness, maybe in the first stages, or those who were coming out of it that just needed some extra, help before they were sent home. Right. I don't think there was everybody sick, but it was kind of interesting to see that, some of the Masonic lodges opened their doors so they could allow these groups to have patients during that. So Masonry did play a small part in that in some of the areas. But it'd be interesting to see if your lodge is out there. If you can get to the 1918 minutes, it won't be in the lodge notices. It probably won't be in your Grand Lodge minutes. It'd be in your lodge. So read up and see, did your building open its doors to house patients? Right. Which is pretty interesting. Maybe what did they do, if they did anything? I know my lodge didn't do a bloody thing, nor did my building. but there is that.
Yeah, I don't think friendship did anything as far as that as well, but I mean, I don't want to say it's over because it's not over, but we have definitely come a long way since it first started, and I'm glad. I mean, the two masters before me, actually probably the three, because we had one that when it first came out and he wasn't able to finish his year. The second one came out and he was just Zoom meetings, and the third one before me, last year's, things were finally starting to kick back in and everything. So I've been pretty blessed with coming in at this time, and actually we're able to resume our old ways and, meetings and all that.
Things will start coming back more and more, but I think we've also have lost a little bit too as well.
Oh, it definitely made an impact for sure.
Watch.
Yeah.
Wishful, on behalf of Masonic Curators, we can't thank you enough for the opportunity to come here today. John and I were thrilled to look around, as John and I always do. Before you got here, we were open around cabinets, doors, closets.
Yeah.
Being what we do best. But we are just, amazed at the swords that you have.
There is definitely a lot of history for sure.
Charts and everything else that you have here. It's just the master's carpet that you have here. West. It's a great building. So we want to thank you for that opportunity. We want to thank you very much for hosting.
I'd have to make one mark. I want to make sure I thank Worshipful John Kent for getting the coffee this morning.
Thank him too on behalf of us. It was well deserved. I know John enjoyed the donuts. I had a donut too, John. I enjoyed the coffee. Thank you very much for that. It was a huge surprise to me when I wasn't expecting. I had my lunch in the car. I wasn't expecting that. With that, Worshipful, I think that wraps it up. It's been a long day. We've been here since 10. It's now almost 2. I can't thank you so very much. And as I always try to end one of my episodes, though I did in the beginning, and he that sowed to me himself is not to be endeavored to add to the common stock of knowledge or understanding, be indeed a drawn in the hive of nature, a useless member of society. I don't know if you have that ritual here is part of the beehive. It has many meanings. Brethren, one of the meanings is get out there and do what you can to preserve your own Masonic history. Present it to your lodge, preserve it, write it down. Okay? Write it down. So it's on paper somewhere. Do it on your computer, put it on a thumb drive, whatever. Get some history down on paper. That's the main. So with that, thank you so very much for watching, and ask the word. Get out there and do some of the research work, and above all, pass down your Masonic history. With that, thank you.